No, I think that it's a combination of many factors. I think it was unfortunate that Finidi George was made coach of the national team. He recorded the worst results that put us in this mess. We lost to Benin Republic. We couldn't beat Lesotho. Is it Lesotho or how is it pronounced? At the end, we recorded 5 draws. South Africa came here, secured a draw. They also played a draw in their country. 5 draws. Despite the fact that South Africa lost more games.
Yes. They
still were on top of us because they won more games. It was unfortunate. Finidi shouldn't have been hired at all. I think that the man who is there has done well. He has even turned us to an attacking team, unlike what we had when Pesero was coach. He was too defense-oriented. He was always trying to play safe. But I'm happy that we have come this far. Whether we'll qualify eventually, I can't say. But it will be a shame if we fail to qualify for 2 consecutive World Cups. You know, kudos to Osimhen for the way he played in those 3 goals. But the mistakes that we made earlier in the competition cost us. This is not the first time that we'll be behind other teams and we'll find a way to qualify. But I think this time around it's going to be very difficult.
I mean, Dotun, where did we get it wrong? Managerial, tactical shortcomings, or the players?
Every aspect. Even the dedication of the players. Like BKO said, one of the wrong choices we made was hiring Finidi George. And then in a space of 2 years, we had 4 coaches for our national team. That's not the way to go. The longest of the longest we've had with coaches of recent has been that of Ghana Draw between 2016 and 2021. Okay. Others were months, under 1 year. And we had Joseph Pesero, we had Finidi George, we have Bruno Labbadia who stepped in for a while, and then we have Eric Chege now. So that is not the way to manage a national team. If we are even going to hire a foreign coach, people are still saying to us, we have the talents, but we need a coach who can harness those talents. Because sometimes you see the Eagles playing and you can't even understand the pattern. And like he said, it was worse under Pesero because we were defending. We had 5 people in the defense part time. So it wasn't a mobile team. And we paid dearly for it. But like I also told somebody yesterday, sometimes being a failure can also be positive. Because if we had defeated Zimbabwe and we got all the maximum points, it would have been deducted from us at the end of the day. So that failure. So okay. What for us? But it still, seriously, does not mean that because we are looking at the teams now that are going into the playoffs on the continent and
the intercontinent.
We are looking at them like it's going to be easy. Even Gabon, we must watch out. Otherwise, Gabon can spring a surprise.
Yeah, we have the likes of Aubameyang there.
Yes. So we need to be conscious of the fact that we must up our game. We must.
All right, then, let's take this conversation to another level. Joining us for more discussion on this issue is the chairman of Kogi State Football Association, Hassan Wada. Hassan Wada, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you once again for having me. I assured you that Nigeria will qualify for the World Cup. And praise be to God, we're on track to qualify for the World Cup.
I like that kind of optimism. I mean, but just like what we said, you know, right here, where did we get it wrong? Managerial or tactical shortcomings that we now have to, our qualifications now depending on the playoffs. Where did we get it wrong?
Well, we didn't get it wrong. If you look at the statistics after the first round of qualifiers, it's clear that Nigeria was placed in the group of death. Oftentimes, we tend to focus on the names of these countries, forgetting that some of these countries have a deep footballing pedigree in comparison to ours. We were in the group of death. In the last 10 years, our toughest opponent has been South Africa. We played South Africa 7 times in the last 10 years. We had 5 draws with South Africa. They won once, and we won once. In fact, 2 of their victories came in Uyo, the Uyo Stadium, which is our home. So it wasn't surprising that they pulled out a draw against us during the qualifiers, in the World Cup qualifiers in Uyo.
But that's because...
So I don't want us to look at it as if...
That's because we are declining as a national team. Yes. Ordinarily, South Africa shouldn't be a threat to us. Hassan, South Africa shouldn't be a threat to us. Can South Africa harass Senegal the way they are harassing us?
Or Morocco,
even
or
in their Southern Africa area, you see some of the teams that beat them. So it's not a great footballing nation. If it's rugby that we are talking about now, you know, but they are not a great footballing nation. Nigeria shouldn't be drawing with South Africa.
South Africa has not lost a home game since 2015 against any opponent. World Cup qualifier, AFCON qualifier.
Well, since 2010, they've not qualified for the World Cup. Even the 2010 World Cup, they played because they hosted it. They are not a great footballing nation.
There's a difference between football that was played in 2010 and the football that is being played now. Then also, if you look at Republic of Benin, let's also remember that Gerard Rowe, who was our coach for 5 years, left Nigeria and moved to the Republic of Benin. So he understood the Nigerian team very well. I don't want us to look at it as if we got it wrong. It was just we found ourselves in a very, very tough group, and at the end of the day, we had to fight our way at least to stay in contention for qualifying for the World Cup. If you look at our group, Zimbabwe came last in the group. Zimbabwe came last with 5 points. The only other team that placed last in their group that had 5 points was Southern Sudan. Other teams that came last in their own groups, the only 2 teams had 3 points, 5 teams had 1 point. So it means that Zimbabwe having 5 points meant that the Zimbabweans were also a decent team. That means if they were in another group, chances are they would have also finished second place.
No, but so if we want to use that argument, if we want to use that argument, then let's look at Burkina Faso then. Because Burkina Faso played very well, and at the end of the day, based on goal difference, they lost their position to Nigeria. And they've been a consistent team for some time. You know? So I don't think, if you are talking about Zimbabwe, those are not countries that should be giving Nigeria issues. We couldn't beat Zimbabwe here. Those are not Lesotho. Those are football illiterates.
That's why I said that we're in the group of death. In our group, we had Zimbabwe, we had Lesotho, we had South Africa. Those 3 teams are all in the southern part of Africa. Those 3 teams play similar style of football. So by the time we drew with Lesotho, it was easy for South Africa and Zimbabwe to study our pattern of play. It isn't a coincidence that our first match of the World Cup qualifier was against Lesotho.
Why could we not study them and change
our first match of the qualifier was our first match of the qualifiers was in Lesotho in Uyo. The second match was against Zimbabwe. Those were 2 South African teams back to back. So it was easy for them to understand how to play Nigeria, you know.
Okay, so let's look at
how did we get it back?
What are your takeaways from this last game? What do you think we did right for us to score so many goals in one match?
It's very clear to Nigerians now that we have the right coach. I remembered when he was hired, I came on your show to justify the hiring. A lot of people were skeptical how can we hire a coach from Mali? I said it wasn't about hiring a coach from Mali. We needed a coach who understood the African continent, who understood the style of play in Africa. And I'm glad that now Nigerians are supporting Coach Eric Chell. So what did we get right at this point in time? We got the right coach. And let me give you some statistics. Jose Peseiro coached two matches. We got 2 points out of 6 matches, which gave us a percentile of about 33.3%. Meaning that if he had handled us from beginning to the end, it means we might struggle to have gotten 10 points. Finidi George came in as coach. He got 1 point out of 6 possible points, which gave him a percentile of 16.7%. Meaning if he had handled the qualifiers from the beginning to the end, chances are we might have struggled to get 5 points. But in the case of Coach Eric Chell, he got 14 out of a possible 18 points, which gives him a percentile of about 73.7%. Meaning if he had handled the team from the onset, we would have been smiling with total points of about 23, 24 points. So on the aspect of coaching, the NFF got it right. And also I heard you saying that Finidi George was a bad coach. Finidi George wasn't a bad coach. He just found himself in a circumstance where his first match in the World Cup qualifier was against a tough and resilient South African team. Remember, that same South African team took us to penalty kicks in that same year at the African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. We were all under a lot of pressure, having high blood pressure and full with anxiety, and we ended up defeating them by penalty kicks. Finidi now was saddled with the responsibility of trying to defeat them in Uyo. And like I said, they have a history of beating us in Uyo. This same South African team, during the AFCON qualifiers for 2015 AFCON, our last match was against them in Uyo. We drew 2-2 with them. If we had beaten them, we would have qualified for the 2015 AFCON. But unfortunately, we were unable to defeat them. So South Africa was a strong team. Then after that, Finidi had to go to Abidjan to face a Benin team that was coached by Gerhard Rohr. Gerhard Rohr understands Nigerian national team very well. In fact, aside maybe just for 2 players on the current team, Benjamin Fredericks and Ademola Lookman, the other players on the national team were brought in by Gerhard Rohr. So he understood the team very, very well.
Okay. All right, Hassan Wada, just stay with us, okay? We need to go on this quick break. And when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go away. Like you're still journalist hangout, we still have Hassan Wada joining us on the show. Dotun, you want to?
Okay, let's look at our chances now. We have a two-phase playoff. If we make it out of Africa, we still have to go to the intercontinental playoff. What are our chances based on results so far?
Our chances are very, very bright. Fortunately, FIFA is depending on the national team rankings to do the seedings. So we're the number 1 seed in the group. We'll play Gabon. Cameroon will play Democratic Republic of Congo. I'm very optimistic that we'll beat Gabon. Gabon were in the same group with Cote d'Ivoire. Both matches, they played Cote d'Ivoire in Abidjan. Cote d'Ivoire defeated them by 1-0. At Libreville in Gabon, it ended up in a draw. If you remember Nigeria's recent history with Cote d'Ivoire, at the AFCON, we played Cote d'Ivoire in the second game of the AFCON during the group stages. We defeated them by 1-0. In the finals, we're up by a goal until they came back and scored 2 goals to win the tournament. So we have a better record against Cote d'Ivoire compared to Gabon, and I'm optimistic that we will defeat Gabon. Gabon are dependent on 1 striker, that's Aubameyang. But otherwise, they don't have any other solid players. The team is aging. If you look at the other 2 teams, Democratic Republic of Congo, they are more focused on flair. If they had been serious from the onset, chances are they would have qualified as group winners, but they are more obsessed with producing flair than getting results. And Cameroon is in total disarray. Even Cameroon's last match against Angola in Yaoundé, they were almost beating up Samuel Eto'o, who is the chairman of the president of the Cameroonian Football Federation. They accused him of messing up the federation. So I think we stand a very good chance. Once we get past Gabon, we'll definitely win the tournament and go for the Intercontinental Tournament, which will take place in March of 2026.
Okay, for me, I'm not even concerned about the African teams. It's about the teams that from other continents that we are likely to be up against, what are our chances against this? I see some South American teams there, and South American teams can be very competitive, even in their own continental competitions. So it still doesn't look certain that we will come out of this.
You should be more concerned about the African qualifying aspect of the tournament, because the African qualifiers are the toughest qualifiers in the world. You can't compare the African qualifying series to that of Europe or to Asia or South America. In South America, we already know the teams that will always qualify. But in Africa, it's so unpredictable. If anybody told you that Cape Verde will qualify ahead of Cameroon, many will say it's not possible. So I don't want, the intercontinental tournament is not going to be as tough as that of the African tournament. Because at the intercontinental tournament, we are going to meet Bolivia, who are the representatives of CONMEBOL, which is the South American Football Confederation. They already have Bolivia. Bolivia used to play at high altitudes. Once you bring Bolivia to normal altitudes, they can't play any football. Then CAF will produce one team. CONCACAF will produce two teams who are already known as Costa Rica and Curacao. Then Oceania Football Federation will produce one team, which is New Caledonia, and the Asia Football Association, a confederation, will produce a team between Iraq and UAE, who are also going for a playoffs. Unfortunately, FIFA is going to depend on their rankings. So if we qualify from Africa, chances are we're only going to start the tournament at the semi-final phase, because 4 teams are unseeded at the moment. They will play in the group stage, the quarterfinal phase. Then we will meet one of those teams in the semi-final phase. And once we make it to the finals, we're home and dry. We're as good as being at the World Cup. So our focus should be on the African qualifying series, because that's the toughest aspect of the qualifiers for us. And I'm optimistic. So
must we win the final to qualify for the World Cup?
No, once you get to the finals, you have already qualified.
Okay,
because two teams are going to qualify from the Intercontinental Tournament.
If you look at Cape Verde has been improving. From the last Nations Cup, we saw how well they played. So Cape Verde, and they play very good football, and they have a lot of talents all over the world that they can use. So I think that look at a country like that, they are on a sort of progression that it will be foolhardy to underrate them. I mean, I'm not surprised that they beat Cameroon.
Well, like I mentioned, that Cameroon had been in total disarray from the onset. Even a no-name nation like Eswatini, Cameroon struggled to get points from Eswatini. This has more to do with the dysfunctionality of the Cameroonian Football Federation and less to do with how good yes, Cape Verde are doing okay. But if Cameroon were on top of their game, I'm optimistic they would have qualified from the group as group winners.
All right, thank you so much, Hassan Wada. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us. Hassan Wada is the chairman, Kogi State Football Association. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's remain optimistic. We shall be on the
They will. But optimism is not enough. Optimism is not enough.
It's what happens on the field.
But finally, gentlemen, what motivational approach will you suggest, to ensure the team remains mentally strong
you see, the thing
into the high-stake playoff?
The coach must get the selection right. I believe in him. I think he has instituted a good playing style. We are now more attack-minded than when we had Pesero. So I believe in him, but he must always get the selection right. And we have issues in the goalkeeping.
Okay.
I don't think the players are confident in the goalkeeper. So if he needs to get another goalkeeper, we must not waste time about it. I don't think this goalkeeper is good enough for us to take him to the World Cup or for us to be our number one. I'm not convinced at all.
Do we have other options?
Of course we do.
We have other options that we may try, but there must be something they say in training.
Okay, for them to say.
Because even when it is, or even when you consider the issue of temperament, Nwabali is not it at all. And I hope he doesn't get red carded.
Exactly.
We almost even considered an equalizer.
Yes. We almost did.
Before this last one.
But anyway, gentlemen, appreciate you for having this conversation with us. Dr. Oladipo, thank you so much for doing this with us. BKO, as always, thank you so much. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Benga Oreshegun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.